Hello, everyone. Welcome to February's Bhavana Chat. I'm Shay with Curate Soul, and thank you for joining me and taking the time to listen in. So, we are continuing on with the very first Purushartha. The Purusharthas are the four aims or four desires of the soul based on the Vedic texts of India. And that first Purushartha is Dharma. We explored kind of the beginnings of Dharma in January's Bhavana chat. And I'm going to dive a little deeper into this idea of Dharma and how it's related to Ayurveda. Ayurveda is yoga's sister science, and where yoga is the technology and the science of balancing energies and preparing our spiritual self to kind of leave this physical body. Ayurveda teaches us how to align with nature, which we are actually not separate from. So, to come back to that remembrance of our cycles that keep us healthy and vital and just feeling really good and able to fulfill our Dharma and walk that Dharmic path and to pursue a spiritual life as well as an earthly life. And so, as we move through the month, we'll be looking at different aspects of how Ayurveda interweaves with the idea of Dharma. And first, just a little bit more about Ayurveda. When we look at Dharma and define Dharma as cosmic order, or alignment with nature or a set of principles. This is really what Ayurveda is all about. These are kind of the basic tenets of Ayurvedic thought, that we are aligning with our natural cycles. And once again, we're not separate from nature. So we have very, very similar cycles that are, again, in alignment with what's going on in the world outside of us. We are a reflection of, so life is a reflection of the macrocosm. And then you can look at the life that is teeming within us. So all of the cells, all of the internal bodily functions that we have, that is a microcosm of us as a person. And so there's multiple universes that we're looking at, and they are all reflective of each other. And it's not separate, it's all interconnected. And Ayurveda helps us to remember that, to recall that inner knowing, and to move back into alignment. If you've been with me for a while, I know that in some of the Bhavana chats from last year, I talked about how, these modern conveniences like being able to turn the lights on any time of day or to have a controlled temperature indoor no matter what the weather was like outside. They're wonderful. They're incredibly convenient. However, we're tricking our natural rhythms into believing, or hopefully believing, that our nature is kind of separate, that we don't have dark hours within, that we don't have to abide by that turning inward, that slowing down, that almost like turning off, or that we're meant to stay in a climate controlled space, that our body cannot for some reason adapt to a temperature change. It can, it's really incredibly intelligent. But when we begin to tell our systems that, hey, it's daylight 24 hours a day, or we can eat any sort of food from anywhere in the world at any time of year and everything's going to be okay, the truth of that is that it's really affecting us, whether it's affecting our digestion, our circadian rhythms, that sleep wake cycle, hormones, stress hormones, sex hormones. We really are not as smart as we think we are sometimes. And so being able to remember that we're not separate from what's going on outside of us or within us, and we need to really kind of tune in to what nature is telling us and showing us and asking us to live with so that we can stay healthy. Um, Ayurveda believes that there is no one singular path to healing, that just like that unique thumbprint that I mentioned in January in regards to the individual soul, the Atman, as well as the individual Dharma, that's Sva Dharma. Ayurveda sees us as, again, that unique thumbprint, but still, just like a thumbprint, it's connected to a whole. So we're not separate, even though we are unique. And so the Dharma that we come into this world to pursue is actually connected to the universal dharma, that cosmic order, that upholdment of the divine aspects. And so remembering that, again, we are unique, but that we are interconnected is really important, that we're not separate. And often in the world, especially the external world, and the messages that we're receiving from different places may tell us that we're supposed to be individual and kind of do this by ourselves, and that it can be really lonely. And that's a bit of a false message. We have to remember that we are part of this collective, and that what we're experiencing is not necessarily we're the only ones experiencing it. Many people, many others have experienced it as well, or their own unique version of it. And to kind of reconnect to that idea of interconnectedness. And so Ayurveda also views that as we come into this world, we come in with a particular combination of elements. And these elements are air, space, fire, water, and earth. They're present in all life, all matter, but the combination is different. It will be different for each of us. Again, it's that unique thumbprint. However, that particular combination is given to us so that we can fulfill our dharma, and along the way understand our inherent strengths and some possible challenges that we may come across as we walk our path. And so, as we begin to explore these elements within us and within nature, and we begin to understand what elements may dominate in our constitution, we begin to understand those challenges or those strengths that we have. One of those elements, fire element, is one that it's beautiful to kind of look at and contemplate. And there can be disease building aspects of the fire element as well as health building aspects. So, somebody that has too much fire can experience things like a fiery nature, a sharp tongue, dealing with anger. On a physical level, they may experience inflammation or skin rashes, uh, heartburn, acid reflux, these fiery type responses in the bodily systems. However, when fire is balanced within us, we have great digestion. We're able to digest the food that we eat. We're also able to digest anything that we experience in life, all of our emotions, anything that we're learning. So, fire is needed for digestion. It is also related to the aspect of being able to see clearly and to discern, that kind of aspect of turning that knowledge into wisdom. And in Ayurveda, we call this positive aspect of the fire element tejas. And tejas is our courage and our insight and our fearlessness to walk our path. So we need that courage. That fire element is located predominantly at the navel center. It's within the whole body, but its home kind of sits in the navel center, the center of digestion, the area of the third chakra. So it's related to courage and confidence. And when that fire is dull, we don't feel like we have the courage or the strength or the fearlessness to maybe do what life is asking of us. And so when it comes to following our dharma and getting clear on what our purpose is, we need to have that strong, balanced fire element within us. It takes courage and fearlessness to walk our path, to pursue our dharma, to tune out all of these external messages from other people or other sources, media, advertisement, culture, whatnot, that tell us that our worth is tied up in certain things like how much money we're making, what career we have, the company we're keeping, things like that, that we often tend to attach our worth and our value to, that give us that illusion of importance. And not that we're not, that we shouldn't experience and enjoy some of those things, But when the ego part of us becomes attached to these things, when the ego is tying its worth up in these as um, self worth and our value into these things that can easily just disappear and be taken away, and they're not eternal. Coming back to that inner fire and that inner light and that inner wisdom, that there is a place within us that knows and knows that it knows, that there is a part of us that is worthy, and we need not do or be anything to earn that worthiness from the outside world. That is that tejas, that inner light that is shining through. So we have to develop this clear sight, this seeing, this discernment. And that comes through things like self inquiry, but it also comes through some of the simpler things like choosing foods that are nourishing, that are easy for us to digest, living in alignment with the seasons, upholding something as simple as our daily dharma, meaning what allows us to move through our life and attend to the responsibilities that we have. Do we have a regular wake and sleep schedule? Are we feeding ourselves adequately? Are we taking time to rest? All of these help keep that fire element balanced within us. So, again, attuning to these natural rhythms, remembering the cycles of and seasons of our life that are in alignment with nature, this keeps that fire element balanced and strong. So, we are doing in our public classes this month. Our sequence is based around various forms of the warrior postures. So warrior one, warrior two, warrior three, and just kind of playing around with how this shape shows up in the body, and how as a warrior we're often associating words like courage and fearlessness with a warrior. And so, yes, it takes this warrior like quality to show up in life, to also take time to discover our dharma, to ask what our purpose is here, and to walk that path. But it also takes a receptiveness, a being willing to quiet ourselves and listen and turn inward. And again, tuning out some of those external noisy sounds that can distract us or lead us in a different direction that may not be true to that inner part of us. And so that moves us into how Ayurveda plays in with achieving our Dharma. If we are busy trying to alleviate symptoms because we feel bad, our energy's low, we're experiencing something like inflammation, an autoimmune disease, skin rash, anything like that, if we're busy trying to heal ourselves, then we're not able to focus on our Dharma or walking our path or understanding or discerning what it is that we need to do and how to show up. We're very concentrated on feeling better. And so it's not that, that's not to say that we're not meant to take care of ourselves, but when we understand, when we live against natural order, cosmic order, alignment with nature, we're creating an environment that creates dis-ease. And so when we begin to tune our choices into cosmic order, into the universal dharma and the universal order and natural rhythms, then we're keeping ourselves healthy. We don't have to spend our time um, kind of healing ourselves from maybe making some choices that weren't supportive and nourishing to us. So this is how Dharma and Ayurveda kind of interweave with each other. It's that we are given this particular constitution so we understand our strengths and challenges. And especially knowing these challenges, we can begin to make decisions that uphold our vitality, our health, our energy, our ability to pursue and do our Dharma that we're here to do, to align with that universal Dharma. Lastly, I wanted to explore a particular goddess this month and bringing in that goddess energy, looking at Durga, often called a warrior goddess of protection and inner strength. She's seen in her stories, the Hindu myths, as a demon slayer, a battle goddess. The kings call on her during battle to invoke her presence for victory. She's the power behind spiritual awakening and also seen as a guardian. So, how does this apply to Dharma and Ayurveda? Exactly that. We have to guard our well being, our health. We have to guard ourselves from maybe these outside noises that misdirect us off into a path that may not be our chosen path, or excuse me, I should say dharmic path, because we can choose a path that may not be our own. So, that dharmic path, it takes strength, it takes courage, it takes fearlessness. Even when we discover our dharma, it's still going to take strength and courage and fearlessness to walk that path, to tune out those extra noises that want to distract us, that lead us off the path. And so, one version of her origin story, you see her called upon the male gods to save them from a demon that they could not slay. And this is a metaphor for the power of the feminine and the mother. Ayurveda is very much that science of nurturing and nourishment, just like a mother nourishes us. Also, like a mother will give us a nice kind of firm hand and discipline, but also shower her grace upon us. So even when we're getting ourselves in trouble, our mother will be there to help us and to comfort us. And Durga is that embodiment of that motherly like quality. She is there with a compassionate heart and open arms that will save us even when our choices that got us in this situation, this sticky mess, are the ones that we made. So she's often called upon when we are in a tough situation that we don't know exactly what we should do or what direction that we take. She will come to us and support us and care for us. So, in the Hindu myths, gods and goddesses are that positive, light bearing aspect of our nature, where the demons, the asuras, are that shadow part of our nature that's kind of tied up with the ego, those ego choices that are fleeting or grasping onto that immediate pleasure that we're looking for. And so the gods and goddesses are the keepers of dharma. Those light qualities within us are the keepers of our dharma. Durga's compassion, or excuse me, her fierceness arises out of compassion as a world protector. Again, she is here to protect us as well as the world, that universal idea of dharma, to uphold that order. And she's here to protect us from evil, hardship, even when it's us that has made the choices that has put us in that hardship or within that difficulty that we are experiencing. And so, as we move through this month, and if you're in public classes with me working through this warrior asana series, or if you relate to Durga or want to look more into this particular goddess, understanding these qualities and how they show up in us and how they relate to Ayurveda and Dharma, it takes sometimes a warrior like quality, an inner strength to care for ourselves, especially if we're somebody who has a nature that tends to care for others first. It takes a lot to say, hey, you know what? I need to take a pause. I need to find rest and really kind of like turn off the phone, turn off electronics, maybe cancel some appointments and turn inward. It does take that strength. And so remembering that we are here to tend our fire, that we are our own warrior, and that we do have this courage and this fearlessness and this insight that is inherent within us. Sometimes we just have to remember that it's there and then do the work to uncover it. Ayurveda gives us some of those tools. If you are interested in understanding more about your Ayurvedic blueprint and what your natural or unique constitution may be, I will be hosting a public workshop here in Savannah on March the 11th from 1 until 3 at New Yoga Now. My newsletter will have more information. Registration will be opening soon. And then, if you're interested in working one on one and understanding your Ayurvedic blueprint more in depth, that is certainly something that I offer to private clients as well. So you're welcome to reach out. Have some other events coming up also. At the end of March, it is the 24th, it's a Friday. I am working to co host with Trina, a good friend of mine who does shamanic healing. We will be co hosting a gathering at New Yoga Now as well that incorporates movement, deep rest, Reiki, and a shamanic soul extraction. And so registration is open for that. I'll put the link in the email. I have the spring equinox gathering with Sarah coming up. That is going to be Monday evening, March the 20th. It will be virtual as well as in person. So if you are in Savannah, I hope you can join us. The space that we will be hosting this at is very limited as far as how many people we can fit. So when registration opens for that, and it'll be soon, probably early next week, go ahead and snag your spot if you're interested because they will go quick. You also have Nourish to look forward to, which is the Ayurvedic approach to seasonal rejuvenation, or the Ayurvedic cleanse that I hosted last spring. I'm redoing that, so more details will be forthcoming on that as well. So again, this month is this weaving together of Dharma and Ayurveda and that inner strength and that inner warrior within us, calling upon that to help us uncover our Dharma or to understand it at a deeper level and to walk that path. And so, if you are interested in working publicly or privately, if you have any sort of questions about the Bhavana chat today, please feel free to comment or send an email, send me a message. I would love to chat with you. I hope you enjoyed today's talk, and I look forward to seeing you next month as well. Thank you all so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.